Okay. All right.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're so thankful for this day, and we're so thankful for all the many blessings that was given us. We're so thankful that we've had the opportunity to meet all these weeks as a group, and um, please bless us as this is our last one, that we may be able to do all that we are asked and learn all the information that we need to. We're so thankful for this university and um, all the opportunities that we have. Again, we love you so very much, and please bless Jay, help him to feel better. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
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 All right. Well, maybe our thought should be, remember it's conference weekend this weekend, and to go on expecting change, because the last several have been good examples of change. So be positive and upbeat and be excited. Who knows what we'll see this time.
I know I've been trying to figure out what else they could do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, should be fun. Well, okay, so this one seems a little different than normal in a way that we actually had. So it's one case study, but there's two perspectives, and we're supposed to, I guess, negotiate from the perspectives of two different companies. So one being Keurig and the other one being the Green Mountain Coffee Roasters. There's quite a bit we can discuss about the case first. I don't know, do we want to discuss it first and then do that? I mean, the group assignments, I mean, not very big. It's
Just
a couple of lines of things. So, I don't know, any suggestions from you two on how you'd like to do it? I mean, this is our last one, so.
I'm fine with whichever, honestly, whatever you guys want to do.
I guess, I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, even the thing we're supposed to submit today isn't really assignment. It says prepare this for your following group discussion. And then I assume that's what we're turning in as well. It's just answers to that, but
Kind of like the same discussion almost, it seems.
Yeah, well, I was confused because I actually turned this in already for the group prepare. And the questions that I couldn't answer, I just put can't answer because haven't had, a group discussion yet. So,
right. Yeah.
Which I think is what he wanted us to do. But in his video, he's like, you don't have to do it this way. But I'm like, how other way are we supposed to do it, really?
It seems like they want us to negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like, it's like we're not even really talking about the case in these questions.
Yeah, you're almost using the case as just information, and you're just building an argument or a discussion based on that. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, so which of the two businesses did you guys read or study?
I read the Green Mountain one.
Okay.
Were there multiples?
Yeah. So there was a Green Mountain, and then there was the Keurig. But
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, no big deal. Because you had to, on his video he posted, there was two links, one above and one below the video.
Oh, so. Okay.
Yeah.
And I read the Keurig one, so.
And then there was the case in general.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know really how to do this.
So let's just do this. Let's just do a brief kind of case synopsis, and then we can kind of just maybe discuss the points we think that each of the two businesses would be looking for as they negotiate, right?
Okay.
The hard part of negotiating is there's no skin in the game, so it's easy to say, oh, yeah, that works for me, because there's no, you're not going to make or break the company, so.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, I like that idea.
All right, so Keurig is a coffee brewing company. Brewing, I guess, is the best way to put it. This is an interesting case for our school to be studying. It's kind of like none of us have much any experience probably with either coffee or coffee makers. So
I actually have a Keurig.
Oh, do you really? Do you like it?
I mean, my wife had it before we got married, and we just use it for there's hot chocolate cups you can buy with it, and it's really good to heat up water too. You can use it to heat up water really quick.
Nice. And is it easy to clean? I mean, I don't know how hard a coffee maker's
mean,
to clean, but is it easy to clean?
I've never cleaned it. It's just like there's like a water tank on the side you can remove and wash and fill up. So it's pretty straightforward. It just like detaches.
Cool.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I know they're popular. I mean, you're seeing them more and more, and I know I have a sister-in-law and brother-in-law that have one, and they just do the hot chocolate out of it and absolutely love it. But you know, yeah,
I
interesting
mean,
idea.
they're kind of nice because you only make like what you need. So you put in
Right.
like the one little cup or whatever, and then you can choose like the setting, how diluted it will be, whether it's like a lot of water, like half cup or whatever. So it's kind of nice.
Oh,
That's like different preferences and things.
I think it's definitely aimed more for like coffee and users like that because of all the different options that they offer. I don't know. I know my family looked into one and like, cause like it's like $1, $2 to buy like a pack of like 12 things of hot chocolate, to make. But versus the Keurig, and then you have to keep buying the little cups, which are kind of expensive. I mean, per cup, but I mean they're premium, so maybe that's why people like it. But
mm,
unless you're like an avid like coffee hot drinker, I guess. I don't know. I would just rather buy the $2 packets and make a
Yeah.
couple of. So
The cups are kind of expensive. I used to work at Staples and we'd sell like Keurig stuff and coffee cups and everything. And like premium brands like Premium Roast and like Starbucks brands and all sorts of them were like $9 a box or something like that. They're pretty expensive.
yeah.
yeah.
And
How
there
many
weren't like
cups would
that many cups in it either.
how many cups would be in a box? Do you know?
I don't remember, honestly. Let me
Okay.
look.
I have a boss at work that has to have several cups of coffee in the morning as he gets in and gets going, and he brews his own. He's got his own coffee maker, and he brews his own. And apparently, his wife bought one of these for the house, and he's like, "It's kind of nice, but I have to keep having to wait for a cup." So the case study made it sound like it was like 30 seconds to get a cup made, and he loves the dark coffee. He tells me, and anyway,
Yeah,
it
they are
makes
quick.
me good because I can't just fill it. I have 3 cups of coffee in the morning, and I can't just fill it up and call it good. I have to wait each time, which I guess that's horrible. I don't know.
hmm
I don't know. I looked it up and like a 16 count of like a Keurig Starbucks roast is like $12.49.
Hmm.
That's a special offer, it says. I don't know what that means, but
What that means, kind of
yeah, whatever.
interesting. Interesting. Well, it's kind of cool. I mean, to kind of see how it started in their original thought up. I got a little confused reading the case study about the True North. I'm like, what? What is this True North stuff? It took me a few minutes, or like my second time reading. I went, oh, that's what they would call it if they went out on their own and did their own thing. So that had me just a touch confused for a few minutes, but
That's like referring to their own blend, right?
correct. Yeah.
Okay, because I was thinking the same thing when I read it earlier. I was like, what did I read? What is this brand?
Yeah. Yeah. Because they were going to buy the coffee from other people and then put it in themselves and then call it the True North blend or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, because wasn't True North weren't they a coffee person already?
I think so.
And then they were like, if we'll make them or whatever, but you have to brand them with True North.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know why they would have ever done that, like, and not had the Keurig name on them. I think that was one thing that I thought was interesting, but I don't know. I think they had a really good idea. I mean, it was a really good idea, and the way they implemented it into offices and really went towards that direction.
Yeah.
I thought was pretty smart. I mean, in going through and, I mean, they did they went in and actually like talked to people and looked, saw what everybody was doing and kind of did some test runs and everybody loved it. Like the quality of the coffee and whatnot was really good. So I don't know, I think they went about it the right way. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I agree with that. Honestly, like when it talks about, I don't remember exactly where it is in the case, where they said like they had all these like benchmarks and they didn't expect to meet everyone, but like everyone was like a resounding yes.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like people want better coffee, they want higher quality, they're willing to pay more money for something that's better. And so like I don't know,
Right.
code one, what you were saying, Regan, like I definitely think they were doing something right. Like they even said like they want to specialize in only coffee and not kind of focus on other things. So that's kind of like what I felt was a big factor in their business as well.
Right.
Right.
I agree. Well, I kind of thought back one of my previous jobs. It was a big company, and they had coffee there for anybody that wanted to drink it. And I was thinking about break time, and when everybody would go to break together, I'm not sure everybody could get coffee out of this unless you had multiple machines, right? Because there'd be 10 or 12 people standing around waiting for a cup of coffee. And, you know, I just wondered how to do in a big environment. I guess if you bought multiple machines, it would solve that. But because didn't it say there was 65 cups of coffee brewed a day in their test businesses? Isn't that what it was?
Yeah, it was around that number, and then they said, but only like an average of 43 or something were actually drank because it got wasted or something.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
throw it out or
Yeah.
Someone would make a new pod or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. Or it became stale, and so they had to redo it. And
Right.
yeah, it also talked about how those like because you had to measure everything out. That sometimes they added too much water, or they didn't add enough powder, blah blah blah, like that way.
Right.
So
Right.
they were trying to fix, the wastage that came along with it, and providing, I guess, just an overall better cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I didn't really get the whole thing with Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, they kind of talked about that a little bit, but which, I mean, I'm like, Dunkin' Donuts, they offer a lot of coffee. Like, what would they even use a 1-cup machine, for?
Yeah.
They're a coffee place, so they should know how to brew a cup of coffee. And I think they said something about their reason was that, I don't even know, to offer a variety of premium coffee that would be brewed in a single machine. I mean, I didn't really understand it. They ended up not using it or going with it, but
Right.
thought it was interesting.
Yeah, that
Because
one
it didn't
makes
meet
sense.
their brewing time requirements for their peak hours, which is
Mhm.
what they said. Well, that's a given. Like, I would have known that from the beginning, but
Right.
so I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, because if you think about it, how many people are stopping by to get a donut on the way to work in the morning and just want to grab a donut and a cup of coffee and go? And if they have to wait for the machine to make it, you either have to have a ton of machines or you have people backed up, kind of.
Exactly. I mean, I could see maybe like targeting a small coffee house somewhere where older people go in and take their newspaper and sit down and have a cup of coffee, but not like a fast-paced place like Dunkin' Donuts.
Right. I agree.
What else do they talk about?
The one question on the prep work that I thought was interesting was how big was exclusivity to both parties? Because I think it was more important to Green Mountain than it would have been to Keurig, just because Green Mountain can lock that down. They got a huge in there. If they can get exclusivity, I think it's a massive thing for Green Mountain. For Keurig, I think, hey, who knows? If people aren't liking your coffee or whatnot, we don't necessarily want to be exclusive on that. But that was kind of an interesting thought. Was what about exclusivity with it?
Did it talk about that for Keurig in their part of this paper?
It actually didn't. Mm-mm.
It didn't? Okay, because it talked about it in the Green Mountain.
Did it?
Yeah. So because that's funny that you said that, because one of the main things that it talked about was being exclusive, but they said that they would prefer to be exclusive and sell the K-Cups, but it's not a deal breaker.
Right.
If Keurig was like, well, we don't want that, it wouldn't have turned them away.
Right.
So during negotiations, they, if Keurig was like, well, we don't want to give exclusive rights because we want to maybe go and like offer it to other, competitors or whatever, then Green Mountain wouldn't have said, oh, well, that's a deal breaker.
Right.
They would have been okay with it. And they actually said that they could, if they were with Keurig and then eventually they opened up to their rivals, that because they were the first people to sign on with them, that their brand would have become bigger and they would have been able to compete with them. And so it wouldn't have even mattered. So.
Right. Yeah, the only thing I talked about in the Keurig case on exclusivity, and it didn't even mention exclusivity, it just said that they were kind of working with 3 other coffee vendors and kind of had them working the same thing Green Mountain was, so that they weren't sold, if they wanted exclusivity, maybe to nail a good price, I would think, now this is me, not the case study, but a good price, you could say, look, we'll give you exclusivity for a year, but we want a good price. We want a kickback on every cup that is sold, a higher kickback for that year, and then after, change it or whatnot. But
Right.
didn't really talk about it, which I thought was interesting because, you'd think they'd want something, but at the same time, it made sense. So
Yeah. Interesting. So should we just go through each little question and kind of talk about each one
yeah, so we can do that.
of what each side says?
Yeah, let me pull it up real quick.
Is this what you have to write about for the assignment, I guess?
I think
Yeah,
the
'cause
group discussion on the individual and the exact same questions.
Yeah, because it wants a list of key items you'd need to prepare for a tough negotiation, which that seems pretty general. Like it's not even specific to the case. But
Yeah.
I didn't really get that this would be a tough negotiation from the case, honestly.
I didn't think so either.
It seemed like they kind of wanted to work with each other.
Right.
And from what at least the tone I got from the case, I don't really picture it being all that, like, we're walking right now, type deal.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Well, in the case study, Keureg's talking about how a good arrangement, or even a positive arrangement, not even great for Keurig, but it would give them the ability to save money on hiring people, right? Because it would mean that hopefully Green Mountain would be doing that end versus having to hiring 10 new people.
And well, didn't it say like the capital too? They wouldn't have to invest in their own machines.
Yep.
And
yeah.
Either way, I think Keurig is, all for the deal, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and the side of Green Mountain, they're all for it too. They're really excited about it. They had a couple like manufacturing questions of how they would do that, because they go in to talk about how the process that Keurig does to produce the K-Cups is different from what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And so they would have to tweak their manufacturing a little bit. And so they were worried that they might not be able to meet the deadline for the launch that they had set for June something. But and then they were concerned about the size of the market for the portion packs.
Mm-hmm.
And the investment needed to pursue this new opportunity. So there was a couple of reserves, but at the same time they were, they're like, we really want to do it. Like, we're afraid if we don't get on board that another, brand will, and then they'll overtake it and we'll be kind of out of the market or whatever. And they were really impressed with all the feedback that they were getting from their office trial runs and from what people were saying. Because it says that they sent some of their people, I guess, to kind of get feedback,
mm-hmm.
and all they got was like positive. And so everybody loved like the quality of the coffee and all that stuff. Plus it was like consistent with their expansion ambitions. So I guess that they usually like expand into new areas often, and so it kind of matched with that. And they were excited about the exposure and that it would boost their revenues. They said that they could sell it at a premium price than what the True North cups were doing.
Right.
I don't know, I'm just reading everything I wrote down from the case, but
see, and Keurig was really cautious about the True North because it was going to take a big investment to
mm-hmm.
get that off the ground, and that was not the way. When I read the Keurig discussion, they did not want to go that way. That was kind of the scary one for them, because the hard part is some of their early money, I can't even think of the word right now, their VCs, their money givers, were hesitant. They didn't want to give any more unless they started seeing some sales, and that they were kind of stuck in a hard spot where they need to partner with somebody so they can get those sales out the door, so they can then get more money in, because they've been given I shouldn't say quite a bit of money, but they've been given money, but sales weren't following yet, and it was making the people that given money real nervous. So they were needing some help there.
Okay.
Well, it also seems that Keurig kind of has some backup plans too, just in case this deal with what is it called? GMCR goes south.
Right.
They have, I don't know, it says here they have like, different plans to go with like smaller shops or to go with like big office supply companies.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it almost seems like the true north. It's almost like a last resort
It is.
for them, it seems.
It is.
Yeah.
And Keurig, in their portion of the case study that I was reading, it talks about how they see themselves as the technology, right? The machine itself, and that they were needing the other company to be the coffee and the provider, where Keurig would take care of the machine and the service and that kind of thing, but they were needing the provider themselves to really be the, hey, we can put it in the cups, we can, measure out the specific portions, we can seal it, we can package it, we can ship it, all that. Because Keurig talks about in here, they having a struggle where if they started shipping it, they were going to see an increase in price, where GMC or whatever the company is would be able to would have a cheaper shipping price because they already have people doing that. They already have negotiated rates with shipping companies and things like that. So that was one of the big talking points as I read Keurig's was the being able to use and lean on GMCR for their their shipping and their manufacturing and things like that, where Keurig would be specific machine oriented.
Mm-hmm. Well, another thing that the Green Mountain side talks about too is they even I guess with their board they even talked about even just buying out Keurig. They necessarily didn't have the financials to do it, but they could find the means, I guess, or whatever, to just buy them out. If they were able to offer them, a big enough amount that was, worth or, good enough for Keurig, then they would think about buying it out or doing some kind of equity deal, which I thought was interesting because, I don't know, I guess they already have the processes and everything. They would just need to buy all the technology and stuff like that. So, but they didn't really want to. But one thing that they worried about them too is that Keurig never released any of their financials. And the only thing that Green Mountain knew about them and that side of everything was who their venture capitals were.
Right.
But nothing else. And they didn't know if they were having discussions with other coffee brewers, I guess, which you said they were, huh? Yeah. Like 3 other ones? Yeah, so kind of interesting to see. So they didn't know that either, but
yeah.
Who knows? I think I think overall the negotiation would have been pretty smooth.
I think so too.
Because they both want it, and they would have maybe had to fix some things here and there and figure out the exclusivity and pricing and stuff like that. But the way that I was reading it is that they really want the deal. So, and there's nothing really, it talked about like what was their walk away.
Right.
They didn't have one in the case, like unless it was completely ridiculous and there was like they couldn't agree to anything, but they really wanted it. And so
see, on this one it talks about that they were against the exclusivity. Sorry, I was just reading this. But that might have been the only walking away, as if GMCR came and said, okay, we want to be exclusive. They might have, Keurig would probably say, now that I read that paragraph again, that they said, okay, never mind, we're done. We might as well walk away. But, it sounds like at that case, everybody would have been like, well, okay, we can get rid of that. Don't need to be exclusive. Right?
Yeah, exactly. They would have said, oh, okay, well, maybe we can come up with another deal that somehow, let's put our logo on it or something and do something that way. But yeah, they wouldn't have let it. What they said is they wouldn't have let it. They would try to get it, but it wouldn't have been a deal breaker, and they would have paid. So. Yeah,
and I think and Keurig in it only mentions it as a hey, not a big thing, but something we wanted to do, but.
Right.
Yeah. And Keurig wanted the ability to talk to other roasters as well, right? So if they signed a deal later, bring other roasters in using the equipment as well.
Mm-hmm. To be able to offer more variety.
Yeah.
It also said here in like the Keurig section that Keurig wants to like really piggyback off of like GMCR or whatever's like system, so they can sell Keurig cups like nationwide, not just kind of on the East Coast where they're located.
Yeah, they really wanted to use their marketing plans and things like that. Keurig did, and they, as I read it, they wanted to use some of that so they didn't have to invest so much into it, because they could, hey, as you sell these, we want our name, or, on the side of your trucks, not exclusive, but specialized dealer with the Keurig, kind of a thing. So that it was kind of a two-way, hey, you're already paying for it, just let us throw our name on there to help as well,
Right. Well, and they already had all the people that they were selling to,
Correct.
which was a huge thing, which they couldn't, it's not like they couldn't find it, but they were going to have a whole nother sales team and
Yes.
all that kind of stuff and hire all those people. So that was a huge another thing that they were like, we need somebody who's already got all of that stuff, set up and easier to distribute.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of weird that our questions don't even have anything to do with this.
Yeah.
Did you say this was supposed to be a 90-minute discussion today?
Well, that's when you read at the top of this, it talks about, I think it was probably the same for both, that they suggested 30 minutes for individual preparation, 30 minutes for team meeting, and then 60 to 90 minutes for your face-to-face negotiations. So I was like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I was reading that too, and I was like, is he serious?
Yeah.
There's no way.
No. Yeah.
Plus, the first page you read on the things, it's like, don't talk to anybody else.
Yeah.
Don't discuss it beforehand or anything like that. And I'm like, what is this? All of a sudden. But I don't know. If we're going on to the questions or whatever, develop a list of key items you need to prepare for a tough negotiation.
I guess the first one's price, for Keurig, be like, what are we going to get in royalties per cup, whatever, if you sell a box for $10, how much are we going to get?
Right.
I mean, I feel like that's the main thing.
Yeah, you would really just have to go through each thing individually. They would need to know, you would want to know what your walkaway would be. Like, at what point are you going to say, okay, no, like, we're going to walk away from this?
Yeah.
At what point are you going to say deal, I don't know. You'd have to know all the stuff that you need that hopefully that they could provide, and vice versa.
Yeah, I think logistically too, who's going to pack and ship them, and just.
Well, marketing, is GMCR going to market a lot of it, or does Keurig need to get into that business as well?
Right. Yeah, you would definitely need to decide who's doing what.
Correct.
And who can do it the best.
Yeah.
What even seems like how often they want like the Keurig administrative whatever people going and inspecting the machines and things like that too, Seems like that would be probably something need to work out as well. Whatever they're called, I don't remember.
They would need to talk about who they're going to specifically target, and if they both agree upon that, and I guess, who their target market's going to be.
Yeah.
Right now, it seems like it's the offices for them, but I guess they could talk about how eventually, if they were to expand, what would happen. They would need to know what would happen if everything failed, and who got what. They would eventually have to talk about exclusivity.
Yeah.
You would have to decide who is going to be in charge technically.
Who's the senior partner, if you will?
Yeah, who's gonna like make the final decision if it comes down to it. Somebody would have to own 51% of it, I guess, and make the final decision if they couldn't agree. Right. They would have to know what would happen if they couldn't agree on a decision. If the one person would just automatically make that decision, or if there was some voting or some board that they would go to. I guess they would need to talk about capital and how much it's all going to cost to invest in this venture. Um,
Well, apparently I don't have the full pro version of Zoom, so it's telling me in 10 minutes it's going to stop recording. So, interesting. Never done that before.
Didn't you
Yeah.
record it before the last time though?
I did the last time and it didn't do anything that time. I don't know.
Weird.
Yeah, this happened with one of my other groups. It's just because, like, through the school we have the unlimited one, but if you do it through like your own personal one, if you don't pay for it or something,
Right.
so
Yeah. And I have a work laptop, so I can't download anything. So, anyway, so we have about 8 more minutes and then we're going to be done.
All right, well,
What else? Capital and cost of venture. Distribution. Logistics.
yeah. They would need to decide whose name's going to be on it. Eventually, like, are they going to put Green Mountain on it, or is it just going to be like the Keurig brand
Yeah.
in distribution with Green Mountain? I don't know.
Yeah.
They would have to decide, team dynamics, I guess. If they needed to hire more people or if they needed to let people go because they had too many.
Right. Suddenly they got duplicated people. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They would need to, especially with my side of it, because they would need to talk about the deadline and for the launch, because they didn't know if they were going to be able to meet that launch with the new manufacturing that they had to put together.
Right.
They would need to put together like I think maybe Keurig already had it, but like a research team or an R&D team to make sure that things that once the launch happened, things were like going good, and they would need to decide what they would do if things, like how would they fix things. We already said the royalties, right? How much they would
No. We talked about price, but
per cup royalties that they would each get.
yeah, order fulfillment was one big one for Keurig, how that was going to get done, right?
Right.
Who was going to do it, that kind of thing.
I guess they could also talk about funding if they needed it. Where were they going to get it from? Because they each had venture capitalists, but who were they going to use again if they needed to?
I think Keurig said it. The VCs didn't want to invest any more for capital and anything else, so it seems like Keurig really wants to push that on GMCR.
Yeah, and if the sales start going, then I think their venture capitals, their VCs would come back. What I was talking about, but they were nervous to continue without seeing sales and things like that go.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. That's there's licensing, which I guess kind of goes with the brand, what the brand would be. Would they, I guess another question is, would they need to do more, like, not prototypes, but would they need to do another round of, like, not research, but I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Like, another round of research, I guess.
Testing,
yeah. Maybe. I don't know. I guess they kind of tested, but would there be some changes if they, combined together, or hopefully not. They should be able to. But,
so I got 4 minutes, just so we're here both aware here.
Okay.
And I don't know if it shuts off or it just stops recording. So
Might just stop recording, but
we
who
might,
knows?
yeah.
Um, I guess they would need to kind of set up new contracts with their distributors. I mean,
Right.
even though they have contracts with them, this would be kind of a new thing, and they would have to negotiate new prices with their distributors and how that would all work out, what pricings they would offer and discounts. Um, yeah, and that's really all it wants us to do, huh?
Yeah. And it just make a list. It doesn't even need to be that neat, apparently.
Well, yeah, it's. I don't think I think he's more of like do it and get it done, and
Yeah.
if you do it, it's good. If not, well, that's all I got. I think from my notes.
Yeah, I kind of typed those down and had a few that I'd been thinking of.
Okay, that was a pretty interesting and easy last meeting.
Yeah. Sure was. Yeah, I'm not seeing much. The only thing Keurig would need is right up front. They'd need an infusion of cash, right? Because they had about $700,000 in accounts, but they were burning about 60,000 a month, and had quite a bit coming due with vendors and stuff like that. So they were going to need an infusion of cash. So that was kind of one of the big things negotiating they were going to need. But obviously they wouldn't say that up front. Otherwise, GMCR would say, "Oh, hey, you're in trouble. Tell you what, we want exclusivity." You know,
What is the Zupa thing it mentions here?
I don't know. I was looking at trying to figure out what it meant by that.
Let's just read through the questions. I'm like, what the heck is this?
Yeah, so in his video, the weekly video that he does, he says just skip over it because he's like, I have no idea what that is.
Oh, okay, so he didn't know either. So that makes me feel better.
Yeah, he's yeah. So I was like, oh, interesting. So he obviously doesn't. I mean, he didn't create the course, obviously, but
Right.
yeah, he knows that there's some things that need to be fixed.
Yeah. So we're down to less than a minute, so we might see it click off anytime or shut down. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it just stops recording or if it
Yeah.
completely turns it off. Maybe we should just wait just to see
Yeah.
for future. I wonder. That's interesting.
I feel like it would just stop recording. But what do I know?
It might, but who knows? It might just like end the meeting completely.